going to start. Hello, everybody.
Hi, John. They let you back in, huh?
Yeah, they did. They let me back in the country. It's amazing. All right, so 3-hour drive to the Entebbe airport, all right? 8-hour flight to Amsterdam, 7-hour layover in Amsterdam, 8-hour flight to Dulles, and 9 hours to get from the Dulles airport to here in the middle of a snowstorm. I like setting all kinds of records for conferences. All right, so that's like one of the longest journeys I've ever taken. So it's good to be here. All right, so I have this slide that I've embedded here. This is the slide where everybody screams, and we're going to make everyone out there jealous and want to come in because Sans paid my ride to get here. So. And this will make them do it again, so that's good stuff. All right, you guys know the standard intro applies. My name's Johnny Long, Christian by grace, hacker by trade, author by brute force, pirate by blood, and ninja by training. All right, you guys remember that one? Now, this section is called What Happened? Yeah. All right, we got to go back to 2008. Some people don't know this story, so I'm going to give you this rundown. See, it has to do with this thing. So in 2006, my wife Jen went to Uganda. She's the one with the white arrow. Went to Uganda and met kids like this who lived in places like this. So that bugged me. So in 2007, I went with Jen, she's the one with the white arrow, to Uganda to help kids like this that lived in places like this. But when I showed up, I didn't work with kids at all because they found out that I was a computer wizard. That was the term they used. And I haven't added that to my resume because that one's kind of gay. But so they found out I was a computer wizard, and I worked on crap like this and turned it into slightly better crap that looked like this. I also did some antivirus, which unlocked the child profile database for the NGO that I was working for, and re-enabled access to their donors' financial information. Yeah, just by running an AV scan. Right? So what this meant was that sponsored kids could now eat and get medical care and go to school. So at the end of the 2-week trip in 2006, they told me I was saving lives, which, I think is pretty cool. So in 2007, I founded Hackers for Charity. And the idea here was to give hackers in our community the chance to feel what I felt, because that was pretty amazing. To help kids, to help NGOs that were working with kids that needed a hand. And at that point, once I founded Hackers for Charity, things got pretty interesting. See, in 2009, I'm still catching you guys up. In 2009, I quit my job, stepped away from my career, and left for Uganda for a year. Or at least that was the plan. All right. That year has come and gone. And here's what happened between 2009 and 2010. You guys got this. I'm so here next year. All right, we'll start with the Kenya food program. I did some work in Kenya. You guys might remember some of this. This was book sales. Donating money from book sales to kids in Kenya. Basically what we did with this thing is we gave kids food. I mean, that was the idea. We handed them food. That was an XL. Dude needed a triple XL, but he wore it anyway. You got to give him props for that. So we were handing out food to help kids that were in need. Several hundred families at this point. But we scaled this thing up a little bit and went from giving them food to actually buying property. So we started handing out acres of land and farming implements and stuff so that they could grow their own crops. That was the Kenya food program. Again, still 2009 to 2010. We brought over several volunteer teams. This is one of these guys is here. Dwight, are you here? Dwight's in the audience somewhere. Dwight trekked all the way to Uganda with Tim Rosenberg to do some work. They did all sorts of crazy stuff in Uganda. We also had a team come over. We had Monty Hoover come over from West Point. He did an OLPC project. Basically what this thing was is we found a bunch of OLPCs sitting in closets all over East Africa. right? They don't tell you that like on the OLPC website, right? That we're going to deploy this crap and it's going to sit in a closet because they're not going to have any idea what to do with it. That just doesn't sound good. So they don't tell you that. So what we did is Monty came out and he actually trained these schools on how to use these things and trained the students on how to do this stuff, part of the OLPC training program. We built computer classrooms. I'm putting this one up first because it's the most interesting. This is the Rehoboth High School, which was built in honor of Sergey Brin. I don't know if any of you guys know this dude.
Yeah. What?
Right? No, not Yahoo, it's the other one, right? This was Sergey Brin reaching into his own pocket and pulling cash money out to build a school in Uganda, which I thought was pretty sick. This wasn't like a PR thing. You can't Google for this. He didn't tell anybody, he just did it, and there was a plaque. And we found this school right in our backyard with the same NGO that we worked with in 2006. And we're like, holy crap, Sergey Brin built a school, but he left something out. Computers and internet. So we built the computer lab for Sergey Brin's high school in Uganda, in East Africa. That was one of our first classrooms. Yeah, This is another classroom that we built. This one's at St. John's. Most of these things, the equipment came from corporate donations and individual donations and shipped equipment. Now, the classroom thing is really tough because only the students at the school can benefit from that. And when they get computers, they close their stuff, right? They completely close down the school and they keep everybody out because they don't want to mess up the computers. So nobody in the community benefits. So we started a community training center. This is the staff that's currently running the center. This is called the Hackers for Charity Computer Training Center. And this is what it looks like. It's the largest center in all of Uganda, and it's the cleanest, all made out of donated equipment. But it was kind of a weird thing because nobody really showed up because it was too shiny and it was too nice. And even though it was cheap, people thought, well, there must be a hook. So we changed our model a little bit and we just made it free. We offered free training to anybody that would come and take it. And by doing that, people came out of the woodwork. And these NGOs that have been working in the area for years and years and years, some of them are listed here, started showing up and getting free computer training. And then the word was out. The the training center was started. So next thing you know, we've got everything from the American Red Cross to the Uganda Police to the Uganda Army sitting elbow to elbow with street kids taking computer classes, which I think is as it should be. We also opened up the center and started the Jinja Uganda Linux Users Group, which, yeah, is crazy. I mean, just to think about this thing. I mean, having a Linux users group is a must, right? Because too many Ugandans think that Vim is a toilet cleaner. Right? And the closest thing that you're going to get to Unix is a driving college for men with no, well, never mind. But Unix is good, so we're training. Now, when I first went to Uganda with my family, I had 2 weeks spending money in my pocket. I had no job. I had no prospects for any income whatsoever. And several donors stepped forward and funded my family's trip over there, just basically paid for our existence. Some of them are still paying for that. But we realized pretty quickly that that wasn't sustainable, and we had to try to find another way to fund all this stuff that we were doing. So we opened up an internet cafe and restaurant called The Keep, and this is a photo of the outside of the place. This place was basically as we found it. We didn't have to do a lot to make it look this amazing. But it's an income generator where we try to stick our hands in the tourists' pockets by, giving them espressos and giving them fast internet. We take that money and use it in the community and sort of sustain ourselves. This thing is also critical for our networking because it gets the people with money in our place. And we can talk to them about what we're doing and, see how we can help them and, all sorts of interesting things. So this is The Keep. So that was 2009 to 2010. All right, so thank you very much. It's been great, but I'm here to tell you that I quit. You laugh, I'm done. How many of you people read my blog, right? You know I'm not kidding. This country has kicked the crap out of me. I mean, seriously. Well, we're dealing with The normal stuff like malaria and HIV and AIDS and, armed bandits and, crazy, all sorts of crazy stuff. And on top of that, we're trying to do good, but at every turn we're facing corruption. We're putting money back into the pockets of the people that are making the problem worse. It's ridiculous, right? I've kissed off my career, I've alienated my family in yet another crazy passion, paid crazy money in bribes, all this stuff, and for what? I mean, operating on $20,000 a year to run this whole project. On top of that, Uganda tries to kick me out of the country by denying my work permit. They basically said, "You're not qualified to do what you're doing here." And I said, "How's that?" And I said, "Well, I wrote some books and stuff." And they're like, "Well, that's not possible because you're a college dropout." I was like, "Really?" And they were no crap going to kick me out of the country. Wouldn't you quit? I mean, seriously, and for what? Well, the fact is that you people won't let me quit, so thanks a lot. In all seriousness, there were a bunch of individuals and large groups of people who I can't possibly name that basically said, "We are behind you." They paid money, they sent emails, they sent encouragement, they said, "We're behind what you're doing." They sent gear, they kept sending all of this stuff to us, thousands of emails, and I started to get this feeling that I was supposed to keep going. And then the work permit thing cleared itself up because the IGP, the Inspector General of Police, the highest ranking police officer in the Ugandan government, basically came out of the woodwork and said, "We're not kicking you out of the country. You're training my officers. I'm not going to see it happen." Personally walked the work permit application down to immigration and stood there while the guy signed it.
Yeah!
That was pretty cool. So, and then we sort of looked at all the other stuff, the residual stuff, the hundreds of people that we've trained, the thousands of families that we fed, the 30+ employees that we're actually funding within Uganda. And on top of that, my family says, "If you quit, we're staying." So, Hackers for Charity 2011. Here we go. Now, you guys remember this little thing, right? The food program where we started handing out acreage. Well, that was clever. Right? That was scaling up. It was completely scalable, and it was totally not my idea. It was the idea of the NGO on the ground, AOET, who made that happen. They took our money, and they did something different with it that was sustainable. That was pretty amazing. You remember the Street Kid program, right? We're training street kids that have absolutely nothing. We're training them in computers. Doesn't that make you feel warm and fuzzy? Well, it shouldn't, because they still didn't have food. They still didn't have a place to stay. They still weren't going to school. And I thought, well, maybe I should fund all that. Well, that's just crazy talk. The simple fact is, someone was already doing that for them. There's a group called the Sanctuary. That's what they're doing. They're building them a house. They're putting them through school. They're taking care of their medical stuff, pulling their lives back together. And oh, by the way, we're teaching them computers, right? So I realized that while it's possible for us to have an impact by working directly with kids in need and people that need that stuff, it's more effective to work with the organizations that have experience doing that on the ground and support what they're doing so that we can affect a lot more people without getting in the business of stuff that we have no idea about. So that focuses us back on technology. Now, the technology stuff that I've been dealing with isn't fun and it isn't glamorous, right? I think it'd be better if I was in a pith helmet and those funny looking boots and a whole Africa outfit, tromping around in my Land Cruiser. But this is reality. I'm fixing laptops. I'm setting up internet for NGOs. I'm doing this kind of stuff, not because it's fun, but because it's what's needed to help the NGOs do what they're doing so that they can help the people that need it the most. There's other stuff that I'm doing, running a soundboard for music at the Keep or setting up fast internet for the tourists or, any of that stuff is basically working for the NGOs to give them a break, to refresh them, to energize them so that they can get back to work and keep doing what it is that they do. The cappuccinos help, right? So what else are we gonna do in 2011 as a result of looking at all this? Well, we're working in the north. Some of you have heard of Invisible Children. This thing's come full circle. We're starting to work with the kids from Invisible Children that were in the LRA, and we're setting up computer classrooms right now in the north to get these kids that have just come out of being child soldiers, that have lost their entire lives, setting up computer classrooms in the north. We're working with existing organizations like UConnect. Each one of those little dots there is a school that UConnect has set up in Uganda, hundreds of them, and they're all computer schools, right? They've got computer labs. So instead of me setting up individual classrooms, I come alongside groups like this and I go, what are you doing and how can we help, right? I don't want to redo what it is they're doing, reinvent the wheel. This is a group started by Daniel Stern. Daniel Stern's also involved in this thing called mHealth, and basically this is using cell phones, which are absolutely everywhere, to enable doctors and people in the clinics to get access to medical records back in a central repository using a toll-free cell phone number. There's a lot of technology behind that. We're supporting Daniel in this effort by taking what he's doing already and applying the combined knowledge of the community to make it better. We're also looking at doing telemetry systems so that doctors in Johns Hopkins can go on their lunch break, sit down in front of Skype video, and run a clinical in a village in Uganda using telemetry systems, getting all the reading data off the patient, and so the doctors don't have to go anywhere to change lives in Uganda. We're working with this thing called Rachel, the Remote Area Community Hotspot for Education and Learning. This is an offline repository of Wikipedia, Khan Academy videos, Project Gutenberg, all wrapped up into this massive hard drive that people can sit down and actually learn math and English and science. It's got a medical repository, everything. We're working on solutions to deploy this so that this thing can be in a suitcase and can cost less than $1,000 to put a virtual library and a complete learning center into a school. And you're helping out a clinic. Now, these are the small projects we're working on. This is the small stuff, because now you guys got me fired up. The big stuff that we're working on is centered around this. This is one of the biggest newspapers in Uganda, defaced. It's also the Uganda Democratic Party, the main government website for the Ugandan government, defaced, right? By this guy called Real QW, who is a Ugandan. Now, I'm not going to try to draw stereotypes here, but a Ugandan hacked their website. Their website was running Joomla, unpatched. I don't think he needed his eyes. I mean, this was an easy hack. Why did this happen? When I'm in Uganda, right, it's on my watch this happened. Why did this happen? Well, I'll leave the answer to that for a second. This is 3 days ago, New Vision, the biggest newspaper in Uganda. The head of the police is going to recruit 2,000 ICT graduates, IT graduates from within Uganda. Why is he going to do that? He says the police fail to investigate high-profile cases because there are few forensics and ballistics experts. He said the current scene of crime officers are very few and lack knowledge to handle ballistics and cybercrime. We lose cases we should not lose because we have a lack of forensics experts. We have to attract scientists to the police because how do you handle ballistics and cybercrimes when you have no knowledge about it? It's a good question. The other good question is, well, who are these bad guys that they're interested in trying to foil? Are these Ugandan thugs and web defacers? The answer is no. These are the real bad guys, right? This is Al-Shabaab blowing stuff up in Uganda, using Uganda as a playground. Why? Because there's no cybercrime experts. So I started thinking about all this, and I called the IGP's assistant, and I said, let me just say, for sake of argument, that I was to come in with a group of my friends and help you straighten this crap out, right? Lock down your web server, help you learn about cyber crimes, help you do bag and tags, do forensics for you, train you in forensics. Would you accept that? And she said, absolutely. We would welcome that. And I said, what if I told you that they were all hackers? And she says, well, would you vouch for them? I did pause. But I said, yeah, I would vouch for him. So the first thing that came to my mind is, all right? You guys remember Estonia, right? You remember all the bad press and all the crap that hackers did to freaking destroy a country? What I'm thinking is, why don't we just do the opposite? Why don't we take a country that's getting the crap beat out of them for no apparent reason, that's friendly to the U.S., right? That has some resources and needs their help. Why don't we step in and help them out? Well, that's impossible. It's impossible. Under the model that we're operating under right now, which is basically me doing frickin' everything because I won't let anything go and alienating my family, this is not possible. It is, however, possible if I just say, help. Because people keep asking me, what do you need? And I keep telling them the same thing. Give me money. Give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money, and I'll do the stuff. Well, we still need money. I'm not going to turn away your money. We're here selling t-shirts, for God's sakes. We need money. But there's some other things that we need. We have job listings now. We have people that we need. We need to create an infrastructure within this organization so that we can tackle projects as big as taking over a country, right? I need some help. So this is a list of some of the things that we need. These are skills that we need. After the talk, I'm going to update it on the blog with a little bit more information about what each of these things are, but we need staff volunteers. We also need training material. We need companies that you guys are associated with to kick in product. Whether you're in forensics or you're in pen testing, whatever it is that you're doing, if you want to do something for the planet using what you've got, this is an opportunity to do it. Because we have an opportunity to build up some capacity in Uganda to fight the war on terror, for God's sakes, right? So that's it. It's big, it's ambitious. Right now, we're relying on lots of people on the ground to affect the lives of tens of thousands of people, organizations like this. If this big idea to help out Uganda from getting beat up by the bad guys doesn't pan out, we're going to keep doing this stuff because we're making a difference for these people, and these people are making a difference for lots of others. So that's what I've got. I didn't quit. So I'm glad to be here. I'm not going to miss a ShmooCon again because you guys just rock. We got some shirts we're going to throw out. Some of our guys are going to throw out shirts. We have a new shirt this year. It's got the ShmooCon 2011 logo on the back. So, you know, these are awesome for you guys that are collectors. And let's get one more round of applause for Sands for hooking us up. Thanks, guys. I think that's it. We're out of time, right, guys? I didn't see anything. All right. Thank you guys very much. I'll see you outside.